Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for visiting the YouTube channel for bestbiblecommentaries.com. In this video, I want to do two things. I'm going to talk about Eerdmans' commentary on the Bible, and I'm also going to show you 5 new releases in biblical studies. Before I do that, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Also, it really helps me out when people click the thumbs up button on my videos, so I'd appreciate your consideration in doing that. A viewer recently asked me if I could do a review on Eerdmans' commentary on the Bible. Now, I'm not always able to accommodate such requests, but in this case, I can. So I'm happy to do that when I can, to put a request in my queue. So this is a one-volume Bible commentary. One volume means that all books of the Bible are covered. There's actually more than usual in this particular commentary, and I'll talk more about that in just a minute. This volume was published in 2003. It's over 1,600 pages in length. It is a massive book. I think one review that I read about it said it weighed over 6 pounds. Now, I haven't weighed it, but I wouldn't be surprised. It is a massive book. Over 1,600 pages in 2 columns as well. The font size is pretty small too. I would guess a 7 or 8. So there is a lot of information in this volume. It is on my list of top 25 one-volume whole Bible commentaries on my website. I'll put a link to that page in the description down below. So if you want to see exactly where it falls, just follow that link and you can find it on the list. The editors, so there's over, I think there's 67 contributors. 67 Bible scholars contribute to this commentary. It's the majority of it's Bible commentary, and I think there's like 14 or 15 different essays on different topics as well, but there's 67 contributors. There's 2 editors. One is James D.G. Dunn. The other is John W. Rogerson. For those who follow the world of Christian publishing and Bible commentaries, you'll probably recognize the name James D.G. Dunn. He's written several well-reviewed commentaries, including the Romans volume in the Word Biblical Commentary series. James Dunn passed away in June of 2020. A few years ago, though, I had a chance to correspond with him about that Romans volume, and he ended up doing a question and answer with me on my website on that volume. I'll put a link again in the description down below if you would like to read that. It's very kind, and I appreciated him taking the time to do that. John W. Rogerson, I'm not as familiar with. I know that he passed away a few years ago, and I know that he was an Anglican priest. Other than that, I don't know a lot about him. But nevertheless, those are the 2 editors of Eerdmans' commentary on the Bible. I want to say this too. As of the making of this video, so if you're watching this video and it's aged a little bit, I'm not sure that what I say next is going to be true. But as of the making of this video, the Kindle version, the electronic Kindle version of this volume on Amazon is $1.99. The hardback, this is obviously a paperback. I don't remember the paperback price. The hardback price was, I think, $80 new. So if you are a Kindle user, this might be a resource you would want to add to your library for $1.99. However, you also might want to hear what more I have to say about it before you make that decision and add it to your library. So let's get into it a little bit more. The NRSV, New Revised Standard Version, is the base English text for the commentary. Authors also provide their original translation when they feel led, when it contributes to the discussion. The scope of the commentary is literary, historical, theological, and there's a lot of biblical scholarship in this commentary. So it's not as common to find a lot of information on biblical scholarship in one-volume commentaries, just because there's not as much space, and authors use the room that they have to give basic explanations of the text, basic overviews of passages and verses, and they just don't have time or space to get into biblical scholarship. This commentary is different. It does reflect modern scholarship. Some think that's a positive, and some will think that that's a negative. More on that in just a moment. If I would describe this commentary in one word, it would be ecumenical. One of the uniquenesses of this commentary and one of the objectives of this commentary was to utilize authors from different traditions, different denominations and different traditions, and also to have an international representation among the scholars as well. So not only are the 66 books of the Protestant Bible found in this commentary, but the books called other books found in Catholic Bibles that are either usually called the Apocrypha or deuterocanonical literature. Deutero means two, canonical means writings. The deuterocanonical literature is also included in this commentary, as is the book of a commentary on First Enoch, which is not in the Apocrypha or the deuterocanonical literature. According to this commentary, it is the only commentary on the book of First Enoch in existence. I did kind of thumb through that section. I didn't earmark it here, so I'm not going to take the time to find it right now. But the book of First Enoch is it's considered canon. It's considered one of the inspired, accepted books of Scripture by the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, and I'm not sure what other groups believe it is on par with the other books of Scripture. So it is the book that Jude mentions in, I think it is verses 14 and 15. I'm not quite sure. I can't quite remember that. But anyway, one of the reviews that I read about this, one of the academic reviews said, I guess that the publisher is trying to reach the Ethiopian Orthodox Church commentary community with its inclusion of First Enoch. It was meant to be a little bit funny. I don't know how true that is, but it just fit with the theme of this commentary being ecumenical and international in flavor. So if you're interested in First Enoch, a commentary on First Enoch, apparently this is the only place to get it. I would describe the commentary as mid-level, but there is a lot of interaction with biblical scholarship. So usually with this much biblical scholarship, I would tend to say it would probably be more in the technical category if there was original language discussion involved. There's a lot of biblical scholarship, but it's written more at the mid-level. So if that's of interest to you, then this might appeal to you. Since it is a one-volume commentary, it's not a verse-by-verse commentary. It's not exegetical. I would describe it as passage by passage. In other places, it's even more broad than that. The theology of this commentary. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky because there's just a wide variety of authors. Some I would call evangelical. Some definitely don't fit that description. So on the whole, I guess I would describe it as moderate. If conservative is on one end and liberal and progressive is on another end and moderate's in the middle, just because there are liberal approaches to the text in this commentary. There are also some conservative approaches to the text. So I guess the best thing to say is it's moderate theologically. A couple of examples is the book of Isaiah, the commentator says is entirely pseudepigraphical, meaning the commentator says that Isaiah certainly didn't write any of it, not so-called first Isaiah or second Isaiah, none of it. That would be contrary to a conservative, more traditional understanding of Isaiah. Another example is that the Gospels are not more important than the apocryphal Gospels. So this book does not give commentary on, for example, the Gospel of Thomas, but in the introduction to that particular section on the Gospels, it talks about the value of those particular books and says that only the canonical Gospels are going to be included in this commentary because their history as being canonical. So, but the comments about the value of the apocryphal Gospels, I think would turn off conservatives. There are, however, some authors They might be all British authors. I'm not quite sure, but some names that I think maybe viewers of my channel might be familiar with is I. Howard Marshall contributes the commentary on Ephesians in this commentary. Richard Bauckham contributes the commentary on James. Anthony Thistleton, I'm actually not sure off the top of my head what his background is, but he's written many well-reviewed commentaries, and he contributes the Hebrews commentary. So conservatives are definitely most conservatives would be familiar with those names, and so they are included in this commentary. I should say the Old Testament examples, few Old Testament examples as well. Gordon Wenham writes the Genesis commentary. John Goldingay writes the Ezekiel commentary. And Ian Provan writes the Daniel commentary. So what about reviews? So I chose one review that's a little bit more critical and one review that's a little bit more positive, just to provide some balance. So first, the positive one comes from Concordia Journal. The reviewer called it the finest, most up-to-date single-volume Bible handbook now available. And the praise really came from, and this is a conservative Lutheran who's writing the review, but the praise really came from the fact that he liked that the discussion on biblical scholarship was written at a mid-level. So pastors and some lay people will be able to understand it. But what the reader will just have to determine is that what they're after, the modern biblical modern trends in biblical scholarship, I guess would be the way to say it. So that was a little bit more positive review. Critical review came from Southwestern Journal of Theology, and this reviewer said that he believes that Protestants will essentially be turned off by the inclusion of the apocryphal or deuterocanonical literature and find it, quote, troubling and confusing as to why those books are included in this commentary, and by implication also First Enoch. He also says, this is also part of the critical review, that to be truly ecumenical and to achieve the diversity that the commentary, that the publisher and the editors were seeking, it would have been fair and balanced to provide traditional views on different topics as well, not just mostly moderate or liberal views. So examples with the book of Isaiah, this reviewer, this is my example, but if the commentator is saying that all of Isaiah is pseudepigraphical, then perhaps providing the another view that described the traditional conservative perspective and why would have been appropriate and would have helped the reader with a more holistic, to have a more holistic understanding of what all of biblical scholarship has to say, not just one particular side. So, I think a lot of people can just judge for themselves what they think of it. It's $1.99 on Amazon. I did not buy it, so if it has formatting issues, I don't know. I just read the reviews to see. Sometimes those kind of things have formatting issues in that. But let me know what you think about it in the comment section if you like that ecumenical international flavor, and if you do get it for $1.99, let me know what you think about it. All right, so the second thing that I want to do is show you 5 new releases in biblical studies. I've spent time with a few of these, but some I just got in the mail just in the last few days, so I don't know a lot about them yet, but I just thought I'd show them to you nevertheless because you might have interest. I'll put links to these also down below. The first one is it's a small book. It's in a series called Short Studies in Biblical Theology by Frank Thielman, very well reviewed commentary author and author of biblical studies books. This one is called The New Creation and the Storyline of Scripture. This is a Crossway Publishing. This looks to be part of a new series in biblical theology. It's got some great recommendation by Douglas Moo and T. Desmond Alexander. This one I haven't spent a ton of time with yet, but looks to be, I don't know, maybe 200 pages or 140. Okay, give or take 60 pages. But anyway, so The New Creation and the Storyline of Scripture. So this will be interesting if this turns into a new series. The next one I have to show you is from John Knox Press. And this is a debate book. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that I really like the debate books where there's multiple perspectives, dialoguing with each other, and in the same book. I really like that kind of book. So this is one, Bart Ehrman, who is a critic, and Craig Evans, who is a Christian scholar and in this role, in the role of apologist in this particular book, and they're debating, can we trust the Bible on the historical Jesus? This was actually a debate. I think you can find it on YouTube right now, and they put the debate in print format. So that explains the size. When I first got it, I didn't realize it was a debate first. And so I was thinking 100 pages, why didn't they, I'm used to these debate books being like 400 pages. But that's just because they're actual arguments, just in printed form. So I really like these kind of books. I haven't read this one yet, but it'll be on my radar. This next one looks absolutely fascinating. I spent a little time with it. And I'm pretty excited about it, but I have not read it cover to cover at this point. This is from IVP, Chloe's son. The title is Conspicuous in His Absence, Studies in the Song of Songs and Esther. And just a couple sentences here. In the biblical canon, 2 books lack any explicit reference to the name of God, Song of Songs and Esther. God's particular absence in these texts is unsettling, both for the theological discourse and for believers considering implications for their own lived experience. So it says the author takes on challenges of God's absence by exploring the theological connections between Song of Songs and Esther, and basically does a study about God not being explicitly mentioned in those books, but how what Bible readers can take away from that in a way that enhances their relationship with God. And so it looks excellent. Trimper Logman gives a nice recommendation on the back. Some of you would be familiar with him. So I'm looking forward to more time, that I can spend more time with this book. The next one's also from IVP. It's called Letters for the Church. It's reading James, 1st and 2nd Peter, 1st and 3rd John, and Jude as canon. And Robert Yarbrough, some will be familiar with him. He gives a nice recommendation on the back. I don't even think I've cracked this yet. I need to sit down and spend more time with it. It does look like a great book. I just haven't had time to look, but I just want to show it to you. It's a new release, brand new release from IVP. Another new release from Lexham Press, and been really impressed with some of the resources that they're coming out with. This is a series called Discovering the New Testament, subtitled An Introduction to Its Background, Theology, and Themes. This one's volume, so I'm not familiar with this series until I got it in the mail, but so this is a volume 2, so it's part of a larger series. And this one's on the Pauline letters. So really high quality resource. Darrell Bach, who you'd be familiar with, gives a good recommendation. A lot of you would be familiar with, from Dallas Theological Seminary, gives a nice recommendation on the back of the book. And so I haven't spent a lot of time with it, but I look forward to looking at it, reading it, getting familiar with it. So thank you for watching this video. I really enjoy making these videos for everybody. Appreciate the interaction. Go ahead and leave a comments, questions below. And thank you for watching. Thank you for visiting bestbiblecommentaries.com.